sudden chirp or unsettling movement of a lizard? That familiar Wazagh creeping along the wall or perched high up in a corner of the ceiling seems to be a silent, unwelcome guest in many households across the world. But this seemingly ordinary creature, often ignored or brushed aside as a harmless part of household life, has a profound history in Islam. A creature that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, not only spoke about but also commanded us to kill. What could possibly be the story behind this lizard? Why such a strong reaction to something that barely seems dangerous? And what can we, as believers, learn from this forgotten sunnah? Let's embark on a journey through the folds of sacred narration, connecting threads of history, faith, and spiritual wisdom to uncover the mystery of the house lizard in Islam. The command from the Prophet Muhammad. The command is clear. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, instructed his ummah to kill the Wazagh, also known as the house lizard or gecko. In a hadith reported by Shaykh, the Prophet ordered the killing of geckos Wazagh, and said that they used to blow on the fire of Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Sahih al-Bukhari, 3359. This tiny creature is not just a random insect in your house, it is historically linked to one of the greatest trials in human history, the fire that was prepared for Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. And in another narration, the Prophet Muhammad emphasized the immense reward for killing a Wazagh. Whoever kills a house lizard with the first blow will have such and such reward, and if he kills it on the second blow, he will have such and such reward less than the first. And if he kills it on the third blow, he will have such and such reward less than that. Sahih Muslim, 2240. This shows that even the method and efficiency of killing the Wazagh matter in the sight of Allah. The more swiftly it's dealt with, the greater the reward. Subhanallah, this alone shows the significance Islam places on this matter. But why such reward? What has this creature done to earn such a status among the animals we are told to kill? The fire of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and the lizard's role. To understand the gravity of the Wazagh's role, we must revisit a monumental moment in Islamic history. When Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, stood alone against his people, calling them to the oneness of Allah, challenging their idol worship, and denouncing their false gods, he became the target of a horrific punishment. His people, enraged by his message, constructed a massive fire, the largest the world had seen at that time, to burn him alive. Every creature, every element stood as a witness to this divine moment. But then, a detail unfolds that surprises the heart. While most animals tried to help extinguish the fire, the house lizard, Wazagh, blew into it, trying to make it burn more intensely. Yes, that small, cold-blooded creature, insignificant in size, chose to aid the enemies of Tawheed. And it was this actless betrayal against a prophet of Allah, peace be upon him, that forever stamped the lizard with infamy in our religion. A symbol of hypocrisy and harm, the Wazagh is not just disliked for historical reasons. It's a symbol of physical representation of the silent harm that comes from those who pretend to be neutral, yet actively work to amplify evil behind the scenes. Think about it. The Wazagh is small, almost invisible. It doesn't attack directly. It hides in the corners of your walls. It remains still for hours, then suddenly moves. But despite its stillness, it causes harm. It can poison food, cause skin allergies, carry bacteria, and startle the vulnerable, especially infants and elderly. In many cultures, these creatures are seen as omens of bad luck, but in Islam it's more than superstition. It's based on a real, divine instruction. Just like the munafiq, hypocrite, the one who pretends to be harmless, maybe even helpful, but secretly undermines the truth, the lizard reminds us of how small actions done with evil intention can have enormous consequences. The forgotten sunnah and why we ignore it. Let's pause and ask ourselves an honest question. How many of us have ever consciously killed a house lizard with the intention of reviving a sunnah? It's so rarely spoken about that many of us are even surprised that this is a prophetic teaching. We're eager to revive the sunnah of using the miswak, wearing the kufi, entering the masjid with the right foot, and these are beautiful and worthy acts. But what about the ones that seem unusual or uncomfortable? Is the sunnah only about what we like, or is it about following the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in all aspects of life? Reviving this sunnah isn't about developing a hatred for lizards out of fear or disgust. It's about aligning ourselves with the guidance of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and understanding that if he ordered something, it carries deep wisdom whether we fully grasp it or not. The wisdom behind the reward. Some might say, it's just a lizard. Why such a big reward for killing it? Let's reflect. When you revive a forgotten sunnah, especially one that isn't popular or well known, you are standing in the ranks of sincerity and obedience. You're doing it not for praise, not for attention, but purely for the sake of Allah. And this sincerity, this submission is what Allah loves. So much so that He assigns huge rewards even for something as seemingly small as killing a house lizard with a single blow. This also trains the believer to be alert, clean, and concerned about their household environment traits that Islam emphasizes in every area of life. The lizard as a spiritual reminder. Whenever you see a Wazagh creeping across your wall, don't just think of it as a pest. Think of it as a symbol of hidden harm, a reminder to stay away from hypocrisy, and a call to revive a sunnah that has been abandoned by most. Let it remind you that some creatures helped the fire burn hotter, and some tried to put it out. In every trial, you must ask yourself, which side am I on? Even small creatures can play huge roles in divine history. Let your encounter with the Wazagh stir within you a love for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, so deep, that, even in the killing of a lizard, you do it out of obedience, sincerity, and a desire to earn the reward promised by Allah. Final reflections. In the grand scheme of things, we often overlook the little things in Islam. But what if the little things are actually the doors to enormous reward? What if our neglect of certain sunnahs is depriving us of barakah we don't even realize we're missing? The Wazagh is more than a pest. It's a sign, a test, a forgotten sunnah waiting to be revived. May Allah allow us to walk in the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, even in matters we don't fully understand, knowing that his guidance is rooted in divine revelation and eternal wisdom. And may he make us among those who revive the forgotten sunnahs and earn the pleasure of Allah through both the great and the small. Ameen. Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated with more inspiring Islamic content. Like, share, and comment to support our work and spread the message. The hidden enemy, lessons from the Wazagh. When we think of enemies, our minds usually picture grand adversaries, tyrants, armies, or even the whisperings of Shaytan. But Islam teaches us that sometimes the most dangerous foes are those that go unnoticed. The house lizard Wazagh is one such creature. This tiny reptile, seemingly harmless, was declared an enemy due to its historic association with an act of malice, blowing upon the fire that sought to burn Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. It did not simply remain neutral in the face of tyranny. It became a silent accomplice to evil. What does that teach us? The Wazagh didn't wield weapons. It didn't shout or curse, but its small breath, its seemingly insignificant act, was enough to earn it a place among the condemned. And from this, the Prophet Muhammad gave us a powerful lesson. Do not underestimate the impact of your choices, even the smallest ones. Part 6. Symbolism and the Fire of Trials. The fire that was lit for Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, wasn't just a physical blaze. It was a symbol of the trials faced by those who walk the path of truth. Every prophet, every believer, at some point, finds themselves surrounded by metaphorical flames, rejection, ridicule, hardship, isolation. And in those moments we must ask, are we like the lizard or like the creation that sought to extinguish the fire? The lizard blew on the fire, but other creatures, as mentioned in tafsir and narrations, tried to help Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, the birds that carried water, the insects that tried to disrupt the fire's source. They knew their efforts may not succeed in worldly terms, but their niyyah, intention, was sincere. Their actions were not measured by size, but by sincerity. This is deeply spiritual. We think, what difference can I make? But the lesson here is, do your part, even if it's as small as a drop of water carried in a bird's beak. Part 7. Killing the Wazagh, a metaphor for spiritual cleansing. The command to kill the Wazagh isn't just about physical hygiene or pest control. It is a call for spiritual vigilance. The Prophet Muhammad said that killing the Wazagh with the first strike earns immense reward. Why? Let's reflect. What are the lizards in our spiritual homes? What hidden influences are silently fanning the flames of our desires, our anger, our pride? They might be habits, people, forms of entertainment, or even whispers of our nafs, inner self. And the command is clear. Don't entertain them. Don't delay. Eliminate them swiftly. Just as one is rewarded for killing the Wazagh on the first strike, there is great reward in addressing spiritual diseases immediately before they grow stronger. This ties in with the Quranic concept of tazkiyah, purification. Allah commands us to cleanse our hearts, to guard our souls. The Wazagh then becomes a symbol of those whispers and influences that do not attack directly, but quietly undermine our faith from within. Part 8. A reflection on loyalty and betrayal. The Wazagh did not owe anything to Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, yet its decision to support injustice makes it a symbol of betrayal. And here is a poignant reflection. Do we sometimes betray the truth, even subtly, through our silence or inaction? Islam doesn't just call us to avoid evil. It calls us to stand for what is right. The house lizard becomes a mirror, reflecting those moments when we let injustice thrive because we feared to speak up, because we preferred comfort over courage. Remember the words of Prophet Muhammad, "Whoever among you sees an evil, let him change it with his hand. If he cannot, then with his tongue. And if he cannot, then with his heart, and that is the weakest of faith." Sahih Muslim. The Wazagh failed all three levels. It actively helped it, and thus it became an enemy. This becomes a powerful metaphor for self-accountability. Are we resisting the fire of evil, or silently fueling it with our apathy? Part 9. Emotional depth, the pain of watching oppression. Imagine being among the creatures at the time of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Some tried to help. Others just watched. One blew air to increase the fire. There's emotional weight in realizing that some beings in creation were more loyal to the Prophet of Allah, peace be upon him, than others. It's heartbreaking. In our own lives, we often see injustice against the deen, against the weak, against the truth. What role do we play in those moments? Are we the bird carrying water, or the Wazagh feeding the flame? This lesson pierces the heart, because sometimes our neutrality is betrayal. The lizard's small breath teaches us that even a whisper can be a weapon, and that justice demands not just our silence but our action. It only comes out when the world is still. Its nature is symbolic. Evil doesn't always come roaring. Sometimes it slithers silently, unnoticed. That's why the Prophet Muhammad taught us not just to recognize this creature but to act against it. Because in doing so, we learn to recognize the whispers of our own hearts that blow on the fire of sin. And so, every time you see a Wazagh, remember the fire of Ibrahim, peace be upon him. Remember the creature's betrayal. And more importantly, reflect. What are the hidden fires in your life, and are you putting them out or helping them grow? Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to stay updated with more inspiring Islamic content. Like, share, and comment to support our work and spread the message.